Should be. Man, how many times have I said while streaming that I need to get a new headset, a better working microphone? Well, of course, when I do eventually start working again, I'm gonna save up for that. I've seen some people, be it on YouTube or on, excuse me, what's the other channel? On Twitch, where they would have these Patreons or PayPal, something where people can literally just donate money to them for whatever it is they need or they're working towards. I know there are like some YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, where usually when I see them do stuff like that, people donating money, it's usually for charity. Hold on, let me turn the volume down a little bit. There we go. So it's like they do these sort of things mostly for charity. I know there are some other YouTubers where people donate to them so they can buy better equipment, so that way they can make better videos, or whatever the case may be. And it's like I know some YouTubers where if you donate even once, or donate as little as $1, you I don't know, like some kind of material or some kind of reward that you get. I don't know, it depends on the YouTuber themselves and what it is they're working towards, as far as like asking people to donate. Oh, meteor drop. Well, I know Meteor Drop has more startup than the usual opening animation for his super, but still, at least it's unblockable. Not to mention, when he actually flies off to grab a meteor, he does that a lot faster than I thought. I thought, if I remember correctly, I remember it being more of he flies off screen, and then it's almost like one or like a second, almost half a second longer than usual for him to come back down with the meteor. Kind of makes me think of Hulk's hyper combo. Can't remember the name of it, from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Your magic doesn't frighten me.
My vision of your fate should.
I wouldn't threaten you, Doctor.
Vengeance of Horus.
Didn't bounce that far back.
Everything isn't a competition.
Yes, it is. Only the strong survive.
The strong protect the weak.
Oh crap! I can't remember if I gave this live stream the proper title. Because it should be saying Happy Independence Day.
Did I break your toys?
How's this gonna end?
I'm afraid for your safety. Another of Bruce's pet projects.
Really? That's all you got?
Somebody should teach you some manners.
It's best you don't own a mirror.
The feeling's mutual. Stay down.
I don't use throws a lot with Superman. Usually with some characters like Black Adam. And actually, I don't think I use throws that often with Bane either. Well, technical throws. Usually I just use Bane's command throws. Which really I need to learn to start doing with Bane. Because there are advantages to using normal throws over his command grab. For one, they come out faster, if I remember. Not to mention, I can use it to freely switch sides as opposed to having to burn meter with his command throw. Not to mention, his ring slam only switches sides depending on the position the opponent's in. Dang, dude. I knew that was gonna happen.
I don't fear death.
Did he say he doesn't believe in death or doesn't fear it? No, he said he doesn't fear it. Kind of hard to hear with the way I have my microphone set up. Damn, that damage. Oh, come on. Meteor to the face. Now I finally get that special gear for Supergirl. Bet it's not even going to be anything that special to begin with. Hey, there's still 6 hours to go for Cheetah's multiverse. I'm gonna do this real quick. Hopefully it won't take that long. And then do the Independence Day event. I know I'm on Wikipedia reading the plot for Injustice 2. It still kind of irritates me how Batman thought that just Blue Beetle and Firestorm alone would be enough to combat anyone trying to free Superman. Like somehow, I guess Batman knew eventually Black Adam and Wonder Woman, since they escaped, would eventually come back to try and save. What was it? Save Superman. But I'm like, that's freaking Black Adam and Wonder Woman. Two very powerful, very well-trained warriors. Wait, very well-trained, warrior-minded super beings. One who has the power of 6 gods. Wait, was it 5 or 6? No, it's 6. The power of 6 gods. The other, who is a demigod. And it's like, Firestorm and Blue Beetle are powerful in their own right, but no, they don't have nearly as much raw power. Well, Firestorm certainly does.
The goddess demands your life.
She should send the greater hunters.
For that, Adam, you die.
Like, Firestorm's powers, which are basically rooted in science, definitely can counter Black Adam's magic-based powers. But now that Firestorm nor Blue Beetle have the fighting skills and experience that Black Adam and Wonder Woman have. So it's more like the only ways they would have to win is by improvising a lot. Of course, since Blue Beetle can't do a whole bunch of fancy energy-based attacks like Firestorm can, since Firestorm... It's kind of weird. Firestorm, like his name is Firestorm, he has fire coming out of the top of his head, but his power is the ability to control molecules. Molecule manipulation, something like that. So it goes beyond just being able to manipulate fire. He was able to create pure kryptonite, almost as if out of thin air. So, what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, in terms of raw power, Firestorm definitely has a lot of it with his molecular control ability, whatever the official name for it is. So definitely between them, I'd say Blue Beetle is the better melee fighter. And as far as hand-to-hand combat, he's still got nothing on Black Adam and Wonder Woman. So I still feel like in the end, Batman should have had someone else. Either someone with more experience and maybe more power to be able to combat the likes of Black Adam and Wonder Woman. Or have those two there, along with maybe, I'd say like have at least 1 or 2 more people. Excuse me. Oh man, that Dr. Pepper though.
I'll flay you for the goddess.
Now that I think about it, there's actually a lot of characters in this game and in DC in general where the way they fight, it's more like they rely so heavily on their powers as opposed to just being good at fighting. Even some like Wonder Woman, it's almost kind of like that. Like to me, it's a matter of how much she can do simply because she's a demigod or demigoddess, being the daughter of Zeus, as opposed to she was just trained to be able to do it. Compared to someone like Batman, who's nothing but fighting skills. Sure, he has his gadgets, but my point is those who do have powers, like Superman, it's an example of he has all that power, but that's mainly what he relies on. Like, sure, he knows some fighting techniques and definitely has skill and experience, but he doesn't have anywhere near the training in combat like Wonder Woman, let alone Batman. That's why for me, I would do it differently. Instead of being, I would be more like that kind of person where even if I had powers on the same level as someone like Black Adam or Superman, I would still put time and effort into training in martial arts. Kind of like how I do in real life anyways. Like take all the training I have in real life, but apply it if I was a DC character, or even in Marvel. Because I told other people, if you combine the...
Submit to order.
I serve only the goddess.
Man, Dr. Fate is such a one-note character in this game. A one-track mind. Anyways, like if you combine the raw power of someone like Superman, damn it, with the fighting skills of someone like Wonder Woman or Batman, or even some of DC's other best hand-to-hand fighters, like Nightwing or Black Canary, combine their skills with someone like Superman's power, you would definitely have a very, very dangerous opponent. It's almost kind of like what Wonder Woman is. Like Wonder Woman, her skills in combat and fighting are good, just not as good as Batman. Like in terms of fighting skill alone. But she definitely has a lot of power, well, physical power, like strength, endurance, speed, and all that. Just not to the same level as Superman. So she's definitely the sort of in between the both of them.
Your flesh will taste sweet. $5,000 credits to Vixen. Yeah, Vixen definitely should have been her own character in this game, as opposed to just a skin for Cheetah. I find that kind of insulting. So see, Lone Huntress, Cursed Thief must be completed. So I gotta do this, and then I can do this. So quick snack, Gataga's kill. I will still never get that. Gataga, who gives Cheetah her powers, is a plant god. A plant god. So how does a plant god give someone the powers of a cheetah? Like, they're two completely different things. I'll never understand that. How something that's a plant has the ability to turn someone into a feline or feline-based creature. Because I'm thinking, if it's a plant god, shouldn't it turn someone like Cheetah into someone more like poison ivy or even swamp thing are? Whoa, I've been streaming for 22 minutes. It always amazes me how much time passes by when I'm streaming without noticing. Oh, a quick snack event with 5 epic gear. I always forget that.
I am the apex predator. You think I can't be a predator? I am a hunter, more savage than you.
Sheesh, it's a mirrors. I feel like I'm mostly just improvising with Cheetah right now. Wait, isn't that how you're supposed to play Cheetah? Like you mostly just improvise a lot? Well, it feels that way when I play as her. Do I even want to bother doing the rest of these? I mean, I already have. Let's see, it gave me 2 platinum mother boxes, but I did this before, so I think all the gear for Cheetah, or all the gear sets, if I'm correct, I have all of them already. Yeah, I'll just complete this one and then finally start on the Independence Day event.
I am the apex predator.
Your so-called hunt ends here.
With Amazon blood on my claws.
That color on Wonder Woman with that gear looks pretty damn cool though. Oh, come on! Enough of the damn lasso move. Damn.
Fight like a man.
Gee, who knew that making Wonder Woman a sexist hypocrite can make her so annoying? That's always a weird thing. It's like, well, having heroes portrayed as villains, and sometimes vice versa, does tend to irritate me. But somehow, you make Wonder Woman into a villain, I immediately find her annoying.
I've tamed monsters before.
It's not over yet.
I guess it's because due to the type of character that Wonder Woman is, I guess it's easier to portray her as a villain. The stuff like murder or oppressing others, I don't think Wonder Woman is ever, like in mainstream comics, I don't think she ever done anything I would consider oppressive, at least towards innocents. But when it comes to killing in general, yeah, she's done that before. Like, she's a Themysciran Amazonian warrior. Killing people is nothing new to her or her people. That's just the way she was raised. Whereas Batman, that's just more out of being traumatized by the death of his parents. And with Superman, that's just more of just because he was raised based off what they call stereotypical American values. I mean, which isn't really a bad thing, considering what he could have ended up as. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this guild. I've been doing that a lot lately. I used to have my own guild, but eventually I ended up disbanding that one since no one was contributing to that guild. Like, it was just me by myself. Well, it wasn't really like me by myself in the guild. Didn't I just say that? I was the only one contributing, and I just got tired of it. So I just figured I'd just quit the whole guild business. But then I was like, wait, all that extra gear I was getting. Oh, dang it. Fireworks are exploding across the multiverse for Mr. Mixoplic's fifth dimensional Independence Day hullabaloo. Expect to encounter some extra patriotic anomalies today. Patriotic, yeah, right. I don't know why, but yeah, before I start this, like independent character events like this one, right, that's up for Cheetah right now, it still irritates me how when it goes through that whole cycle for every character, it's rare to come across one specifically for Swamp Thing. And I mainly say that due to the fact that he's my favorite character in this game. Like, sometimes weeks can go by and I would check the multiverse events every day almost, and still nothing for Swamp Thing. Sometimes it feels like it's only once every few months or so, if even that.
The trees bend to your voice.
I'll take that as a compliment.
A compliment to ease your pain.
Whoa, what was that? I gotta pay attention to what these modifiers do. Fun fountains. Firework pillars rise above the fight line, affecting fighters that touch the pillars. Holy shit. So red is fire, white is ice. Oh no, blue is ice, white is electricity. Oh shit, that was awesome. Dang it!
You're better, but I'm still me.
You deceive yourself.
Dang, fireworks!
This world is angry.
I'm the hero Earth needs.
You know, maybe this would be better if I just chose a better gear set. Damn, is the chat working? I know I had a few viewers stop by, if I remember, but hey, I still have at least one left. Happy 4th of July. But, damn, I just don't know if it's even working or not. So let's see, 2475. Somehow I keep forgetting that Injustice 2 came out after Mortal Kombat X. Kind of weird.
The earth will leave.
You know, with all these different film franchises that either have or have tried at least to do some kind of movie cinematic universe of sorts, like with, let's see, well, Marvel is actually not the very first company to ever do that. They were still back when Universal did it, when they made crossover films like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and other crossovers like one that had Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein, and one that had all those three in one film, starring, what's it, Costello and Abbott, or Abbott, or however the hell his name was said. So actually, I think they were actually Universal was the first to do a cinematic universe of sorts. even if it wasn't like really meant to be executed like how Marvel eventually did. But anyways, actually I remember my uncle even said that they were the first to do that as well, which was pretty cool. So as far as like cinematic universes, I would like to see something kind of like that be done, that sort of crossover and stuff like that be done, but like in video games. Which now that I think about it, I think that's what they're gonna do with games like Spider-Man and the upcoming Avengers game. Though I'll admit, when I saw some of the character models for characters like Captain America and Black Widow, some of them looked kind of weird, especially with Captain America. Although I do like how, while some of the costumes, or some of the characters' costumes may be similar, like either by coincidence or they are in fact based off of the MCU, at least the actual character models, like their faces, what they look like and everything, with or without their costumes, at least the characters don't look like they were modeled after their MCU counterparts. Like, just their costumes are inspired, but that's about it. Which for me, I'm fine with. Like, I don't need, let alone want, my own favorite characters, be it Captain America, Deadpool, Superman, Shazam. It's like, I don't think it's necessary just because either their live action films was successful or not. They don't need to be looking like however their actors look. Like, it's just been irritating me with how much Marvel has been doing that lately. Especially when it came to animated cartoons like Avengers, and I think Ultimate Spider-Man is one of them. Whereas more and more films in the MCU started coming out, characters in animated shows, and even in the comics which are unrelated to the MCU in terms of like continuity and whatnot. Some of them being having their costumes and outfits being redesigned look more like their live action selves. And then I realized eventually that DC's been doing the same thing too ever since DC Rebirth. Redesigning characters like Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn to look more like their live action counterparts, which I think is stupid, especially in the case of Harley Quinn. Like, with almost every new form, or every time Harley Quinn is reintroduced, whether if it's in a new game or show or movie, they keep redesigning her to look less and less like she did back in Batman the Animated Series. Cause I remember, I think it was before the New 52 happened. Yeah, prior to the New 52, Harley Quinn was still wearing her Jester costume whenever she went on any kind of adventures. Even after becoming independent from the Joker. And it's like, I guess it's just because I really liked Harley Quinn, the animated, in the Batman cartoon, the animated series, the new Batman Adventures. And they keep redesigning her with every new DC reboot, making her look less and less like her original self. Because now it's gotten to the point where we're in DC Rebirth, and with her look being based off of the live action Suicide Squad film, it's like, if anything, now she just looks like a damn hooker. Like, that's what Harley Quinn looks like to me now. Not to mention how they keep redesigning her, or not redesigning, but changing her personality. It's like nowadays, they keep making her more and more like the Joker. Like almost like a female Joker, essentially. Just like close to, but
as crazy as the Joker. Well, when it comes to the Joker, that's a level of psychotic that not very many characters I know of can reach, or claim to have reached, in or out of DC. But that's beside the point.
Giving me ideas for new arrows. A compliment indeed.
Like nowadays, she almost is exactly just like Joker, or a more heroic like Joker. He still had at least some morals left. Like they just keep, like I said, just making her a more or less like a female version of him at this point, and it just irritates me. When I remember back when she was first portrayed, how she was essentially at first more or less just another victim of the Joker, just one he pretends to care about. Like he pretends to care about her, and he knows that she's just hopelessly in love, and he's just using her, but she doesn't realize it because she's just that delusional. And eventually, she begins to realize just how abusive Joker is, even if sometimes she has a bit of a relapse and falls in love with him all over again. Like Harley Quinn is just an example of a character that I used to like seeing in comics and even in other media. Nowadays, she's just annoying. Which is why I'm glad other characters like Shazam and Black Adam, like back when Shazam was still called Captain Marvel, and even after having his name changed from Captain Marvel to Shazam officially, like characters like them, who else? Not just with DC, but with Marvel as well. Like with Deadpool, even after all this time, and Spider-Man too, they still remain like such awesome characters, as opposed to some others like Captain Marvel, where Captain Marvel at this point almost feels like an example of a almost like a radical feminist with superpowers. Like people saying she's supposed to be a feminist icon. It's like, out of all the females across any kind of media that I can think of as a positive female, a positive feminist icon, as in feminism in fiction done right, or just a strong female individual. Let's see, there's a few that I can think of I would say that about. Let's see. Oh yeah, Wonder Woman, first and foremost. Like, you ask me about any female character I think of that's feminism done right in any media, Wonder Woman will always be the first one that comes to my mind. Usually. Others I can think of. Let's see, I said Wonder Woman. So let's see, Wonder Woman. I want to say Storm, but now that I think about it, I haven't read too many comics with Storm in it. I know there's only been like a few comics I remember where Storm was. There's maybe like a few comics where I've seen Storm, if momentarily portrayed as a helpless victim. That's more like her and majority of the group in any kind of issues where it's like it's meant to be a character building comic for a individual character or group of characters to save the veterans. Like one of those type of comics. And if I remember, there's only been like a few I've seen Storm forcing those kind of situations. Because usually Storm herself, or Aurora Monroe, she's definitely someone who has very strong morals and can definitely accomplish stuff on her own if she needs to. I want to say Jean Grey from Marvel as well, Sometimes it just feels like Marvel just makes her almost like a punching bag. And I say that because of like all the bullshit she keeps going through in comics regarding the Phoenix. Or it's like it's hard for me to tell how much of it she's accomplishing on her own, how much of it is the Phoenix forcing her to do it, and others manipulating her or victimizing her because of the Phoenix. I remember there was a time when I was a little kid where I kept telling myself, I'm like, damn it, Marvel needs to stop constantly killing off and resurrecting Jean Grey. Or letting others do it in whatever kind of media. Video games, movies, TV shows. I either let her live or let her die. Who are other characters I would consider a positive feminist icon? Like characters who were meant to be feminist icons or who have become popular ones. Let's see, besides Wonder Woman from DC, I already said that. Oh yeah, Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise. She's also an example of someone that who is feminism in the media done correctly. Like I kind of like how they did her character arcs throughout the Alien series. Even if I do say they did her dirty in Alien 3, that's for sure. Cause I remember how it was in Aliens 1. Like just like everyone else, except for Ash, the machine. Or well, he wasn't made of metal or anything. What kind of android was Ash anyway? Oh, that's not important. But anyways, characters like Ash, if I remember, was the only character, well, besides that cat that Ellen Ripley had, who wasn't afraid of the alien since, well, you know, just being an android. But anyways, Ellen Ripley, like the rest of the human characters, was absolutely terrified of the alien. Like her and everyone else doing the best they can, trying to survive, either trying to kill it or just getting off the ship to escape from it. And it's like over the course of the film, like she becomes more and more determined. Like at first she's determined to help the others, like exterminate it. But once they realize it's too dangerous to bother trying to kill it, they just realize, oh fuck, forget killing that thing, let's just get the hell out of here. And like I said, she's terrified of that thing like the rest of the humans, but she's still determined to work with the others, and she does a good job of remaining calm throughout the majority of the film. Walked right into it. Microphone. Haha! First time I broke through a character's armor during a super. Well, I always thought supers only had one hit of armor. I didn't know it had that much armor on it. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Ellen Ripley. Due to the fact that the original Alien film was more of a survival horror, and I already explained all the good things about her character in that. Being able to remain calm, even while still scared. But then comes the second Alien film, and even though she was definitely traumatized by the events, instead of like trying to run off scared or hiding from her problems, like she was willing to go back to that planet with the intention of killing those xenomorphs. Like, if it was me, I would just stay away as far away from those xenomorphs as I can. But for her, she was all like, oh no, I'm gonna go back and kill those fuckers. Screw running away. And when it came time to say, I can't remember what that little girl's name was, who was the only survivor of the xenomorph outbreak. I just thought it was cool with the way Ripley was arming herself, like was not necessarily combining the pulse rifle and the flamethrower that she had. Like, she literally just took some duct tape and just strapped it together. Still pretty creative. But one of my favorite parts from Alien 2 was when Ellen and that little girl, when they encountered the alien queen, when Ellen realized just how, well, I wouldn't say terrified, but how cautious the queen had become when Ellen started firing off that flamethrower. And she literally pointed that flamethrower. Did I say flame or fire thrower? I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying. When she, instead of like just opening fire on the queen and those two xenomorphs when they blocked the exits, instead she aimed her flamethrower at the xenomorph eggs. After realizing that the queen actually cares about the eggs, and basically, hold on, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Not blackmail. I don't know, there's a word for it. But basically, non-verbally struck a deal with the queen to let her and the girl pass, otherwise she would immediately start killing those eggs. Of course, once she realized that the queen was going to send those xenomorphs after her just as soon as she went through that exit, like when she realized that, she was like, oh, fuck it, and just started blasting his eggs. Despite knowing how pissed off the queen was going to be over that. Of course, the xenomorph queen brought it on it herself since she tried to go back on their deal anyway. And I thought that was pretty badass. Like, she saw exactly what one xenomorph can do to a bunch of humans. Let alone what one queen who could control a whole colony can do. And like I said, instead of getting scared or running off or panicking at any point, like I said, there are exact words I'm trying to think of that would accurately describe all this. And I still definitely do not like what they did to her towards the end of Alien 3 when they decided to kill her off like that. Like, apparently Alien 3 was going to be an entirely different movie, at least as far as setting and characters, but due to constant script changes, and what the hell was it? So let's see, constant changes in the script, and I think because they kept switching from one writer to another, they eventually decided instead of like arguing amongst themselves as to what the film was going to be, they just settled on what Alien 3 eventually became, which to me disappointed me.
You're asking to get hurt.
Come and try.
Damn, Superman. But anyways, Ellen Ripley, it's like, I can't think of any reason why I wouldn't call her a positive feminist icon. What's another feminist icon, or someone who I would say is feminism done right? Feminism done in a good, inspiring way.
I really want to say some of the gems from Steven Universe, like Garnet and Pearl, but even though they act, well, I wouldn't say act, but even though like they may have some feminine traits from their voices to their physical forms, they're still genderless regardless. Well, I guess you could say as far as like any feminism done right, the only one I could think of would be Connie. Of course, I don't think Connie was meant to be a feminine icon. I think that was just more or less to show how even kids like her, when determined, can accomplish great things. If I remember, Steven Universe was never really about like feminism done right. I think it's more meant to be more of what they call it, the gay community or LGBTQT, trying to portray that group in a more positive light. It was more or less something like that, I think. But if I had to say any character who could or was probably meant to be feminism done right, yeah, I'd have to say most likely Connie. Are you kidding me? I guess the armor doesn't work on supers. Well, obviously. Now, if I remember, by default, supers in this game still don't do a lot of damage. Then again, I don't think they did a whole lot of crazy damage to begin with in Injustice 1. Like, the only exception I can think of would be Bane. Like whenever he did his super with any Venom active. Yeah, there's actually not a lot of fictional characters I could think of who I would say is feminism in fiction done right. I can only think of Wonder Woman and Ellen Ripley. Like Connie, she comes close, but I don't think positive feminism was what they were trying to go for with Connie. Let's see, who else is there? Wonder Woman, Ellen Ripley. I don't know about Supergirl or Black Canary. I don't know if it was ever DC's intention with them as far as positive feminism. So just the character level in a okay. Who am I close to getting level 30 with? Close to level 30 with Cyborg, surprisingly. Kind of surprised I'm more closer to level 20 for to level 30 with Cyborg than Catwoman. I need to hurry up and get Raid into level 20 soon. And level 20 with Poison Ivy. I'm only 3 levels away.
Your primitive technology can't harm me.
Jury's still out on that.
I know some of these holiday events, they have this thing where they'll have like a certain type of object or creature walk onto the stage before exploding. I remember for the Easter event, it was just some random rabbit that would run onto the stage. And in the, what was it, the St. Patrick's Day event, it was leprechauns. And I don't know why, but to me, it just I felt bad seeing that happen. Seeing rabbits and leprechauns just walking onto the stage before suddenly exploding. Especially with the leprechauns, where they would scream in panic right before exploding. Oh no, that's the wrong combo. At least with this one, instead of like it being any sort of living creature, it's just random hats. Unless they have another event where it is someone walking onto it. Imagine that, where instead of an object, it's Uncle Sam. Yeah, like if it was like, I don't know, copies of Uncle Sam himself. Excuse me, like copies of Uncle Sam just walking onto the fight line and exploding out of nowhere. Oh man, I think that would actually piss off quite a few people. It's amazing how well I do with zoners. Despite, like, usually zoners are like my least favorite. Zoners are in fact my least favorite playstyle. But it's amazing how well I do with some of them. But sometimes I put more time and effort into zoners than rushdown characters, which is weird. Of course, between those two, the ones I put the most effort into is usually is always grapplers. Still, zoners are characters who are in any way meant to be more defensive. It's like, I don't like playing against them because of how annoying they can be to fight against. But at the same time, they're kind of fun to play as. And I think, like, out of all those different type of characters, I think zoners are always the easiest to troll people with. Because, you know, there's like so many people who complain about zoners, saying that, some people saying that only cowards or trolls or whatever other type of people will play zoners. Sometimes those kind of people, it's kind of fun to mess with them. Still, I think grapplers will always be my favorites. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Oh yeah, as far as back on that positive feminist icons, or at least just female icons in general. So DC's Wonder Woman, Ellen Ripley from Alien. Can't really think of any characters from Predator. Like as far as horror film characters. Then again, if I remember, Predator never had like one consistent or recurring character. Like almost every film that the Predators appear in, majority, if not most of them, are killed by the end, and they're usually the antagonist. And it's like almost any character that appears in one Predator film never returns in the sequel. Which is kind of unfortunate. Actually, is there any positive feminist icons from Marvel? Because I know that's what they tried to do with Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers. But to me, she's more an example of feminism in fiction done wrong. Like, she's more of the opposite of what DC did with Wonder Woman. Actually, and it's not even just me who said that. Other people agreed. Like, especially with the fact that Marvel has been trying to push the feminist agenda with Captain Marvel, whereas with Wonder Woman, if I remember, I don't think DC was ever really trying to push that agenda with Wonder Woman. It's more like people acknowledge her as an icon, as a strong female character, but it doesn't really overdo it. Like with Wonder Woman, with her character in comics or in any fiction, it's like sure there may be some times where she may be shown looking down on men at times, but I think if I remember that just comes from a lack of understanding of different cultures, especially when she came to America, since she's a foreigner from a country. Wait, is Themyscira a country? Because I know it's an island, but I wonder if it's supposed to be like the size of the country, something like that. But it's more like due to the fact that she comes from a foreign place. Obviously, if her coming to America, Wonder Woman would she would have like different values and different ideas that are much different compared to America. Whether if it's in Martyr times or back when she made her debut in and I can't remember what year she made her debut. And it was like sometime after Batman. I think sometime in the mid 40s. The mid or early 40s when she made her debut. So it's like with Wonder Woman, she's not like that kind of character where even though she's meant to be a feminist icon, she doesn't try to like push or force her ideals onto others. It's just more like she just does everything based on how she was raised, and usually it's just more of not understanding or knowing any better. And that's not really even a feminist thing. That's more like an issue anyone would have, where they end up coming to or going to a place that's much different from where they've grown up for so long. So obviously a lack of understanding will lead to some pretty awkward situations. Ow! Oh, I completed all the main events. Enjoy the grand finale. Whew, Darkseid. It's always fun fighting Darkseid with either Superman or Black Adam. Don't really fight against Darkseid that much with Supergirl or Wonder Woman. And I used to be good with Supergirl, but I don't play her nearly as much. At least not anymore. And I gotta hurry up and finish this match because I really gotta use the bathroom. Sheesh, feels like most of the damage just comes from all these random events going on, random explosions, rather than me doing anything. Well, at least I was able to get him with the meteor drop. Wait, what's the actual name for his super? Dang it. Drank too much soda. Hey, I leveled up my profile. I think now I should finally start opening my other boxes now. How much do I have? Damn, 120 platinum, 43 diamond. That's the most I've ever had as far as diamond and platinum prior to opening. I think that's got to be like the highest platinum boxes that I ever had with guild events or guild mother boxes. Of course, I've never gotten any diamond mother boxes from any guilds before. And even if I would contribute a lot to whatever guild, especially how more usually the amount of boxes you, or the types of boxes you get from guilds depends on not just you, but the whole guild in general working together. Yeah, that can be kind of irritating. Knowing that the kind of gear or the boxes you get from the guild, it's not just up to you, but the whole guild working together. Which means that if or just not enough of the members are contributing, that's going to affect you and others in the long run. That's one more reason why, even though I was running the guild at first, eventually I just stopped. Like, it was just not working out. Not enough people contributing besides me. But I'm going to take a quick restroom break and I'll be right back. And I am back. Now that I think about it, I can't tell if the chat's not working or people just aren't interested in leaving a comment. Wait, let me see. I hope that's not the case. I'm gonna try to check it on my phone, see if there's anything I can do, see what's going on, if there's an issue. But while I'm doing that, I'm gonna start opening these boxes. If I remember, I haven't opened any boxes, guild or otherwise, since, let's see, was it May? Now I think I've been saving on to some of these boxes since before May. I think like back in, I think it started back in April. Like either mid or late April, all the way up to now. Told myself I was gonna wait until like maybe a certain holiday. Microphone. At first, I kept thinking maybe wait until Christmas to start opening these boxes like I did once. Where it was kind of like, yeah, it was on Christmas. And the idea of opening these boxes in this game on Christmas Day, I don't know, seemed like a pretty cool idea, so I just went with that. But yeah, there was no way I was gonna wait almost a whole year just to start finally opening these boxes. Damn it, I need to stop stuttering so much.
I don't know. People say that usually I talk more fluently, or I sound much better when I talk when I'm actually reading something, or at least reading something out loud. That's kind of creepy to me now that I think about it. The times in which I've had people compliment me on my voice, and they would say I have such a nice sounding voice. I remember the first time I remember anyone complimenting me on how I sound when I talk was my English teacher back at college a few semesters ago. I remember there was a passage in a book she wanted me to read out loud for the rest of the class, and I read it, but when I was done, she said I had such a nice voice the way I sounded while talking. Said I had, what did she call it? I think she either said I sounded like a DJ, or I had what she called a DJ's voice. Kind of like if I wanted to work like at a radio station, I would probably do a very good job working there. And I remember it wasn't just her. It wasn't just her, but it was another student in the class, a fellow student who was also a female, who said it. And it just felt so weird. Like not one, but two women in that class complimenting me on my voice. Like to me, my own voice didn't sound anything special. Of course, whenever I listen to recordings of myself talking, I tell myself, man, I sound terrible. Or I keep surprising myself at how I actually sound compared to what I think I sound like talking. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but whatever. I remember, what was the second time? Because I remember there was another time that I remember someone complimenting me on my voice. Oh yeah, it was these two guys. I think there was something like, kind of like, well, they weren't necessarily salesmen, but they were, I don't know, I think they say they were with PG&E, going around to people's homes and finding out if they get PG&E or not, and helping them reduce their bills. Still seemed pretty fishy to me at first. So I remember one of them gave me a tablet, and there was something on there. I can't remember, like either they couldn't read it or they wanted me to read it out loud for them. And once I was done reading, one of them just complimented me on my voice, on just how good it sounded. And I kind of laughed at first, but I remember later on, after they finally left, I was thinking how creepy it was. Like, I don't want to say that it was because of the fact that it was two guys complimenting me on my voice. This is like, well, I'm not homophobic. No. I think maybe just because of the fact that they were complimenting me in the first place. Like, I'm so used to getting insulted by people. This is gonna take a while. Holy shit, look at how much money I'm getting. But yeah, it's like people complimenting me in any way, like giving me a legitimate compliment, as opposed to being either sarcastic or saying something very mean or harsh. Like I feel like I don't really get that very often, which just makes it all the more awkward for me whenever I do get like any legitimate compliments, especially on something that I feel like isn't really worth complimenting. Like people complimenting on how I sound when I talk, especially when I speak loudly and clearly. I'm like, okay, that's kind of creepy. Especially that English teacher of mine. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm accusing her of anything, but it almost sounded like as if she had a crush. Like, just the way she said it the first time, just out of nowhere, complimenting me on my voice, sounding like a radio DJ. I was like, first time I've ever been complimented like that. Of course, I remember my buddy Flip. I remember there's been a few weird but still funny compliments he gave me based on my videos. As a matter of fact, I want to look it up on my channel, see if I can find it. Because there was one compliment in particular he gave me
on one of my videos that I thought was kind of funny. And I actually typed how it had to be the weirdest compliment I've ever gotten from him. Oh, is it? Oh, YouTube. Man, look at all this money I'm getting from just opening all these boxes. I'm almost at 8 million. It's amazing how I'm able to make more money in one game than I'm able to make in my entire life working jobs. Yeah, that's all the more reason why I gotta stop being so quick to spend on money in real life. I remember one of my uncles, there was like a specific word he told me about that describes as far as saving money, like resisting the urge to spend it on something so that I'll have plenty of money for the stuff I need that's important later on. I just wish I could remember what the word for it was. So wait, as far as like the overflow inventory, how much can that hold? Overflow only up to 20? That's kind of lame. Actually, now I should probably check my list of gear for other characters. Thera na Helm. Interesting name. Weird. $393 for not jumping. $388. Trident of Neptune. Increases trident damage. Alright. Oh, I don't really care for this. Character XP gained by 9.8%. 7.31%.
Silver Age Atlantean. All right, I remember I was close to. No, once I finally got to level 20, I thought I'd finally be able to assemble this gear set for Aquaman based off of what he wore in the movie, or what he wore in Justice League. But it turns out there's one piece I'm missing, which is absolute bullshit. This can't be too loud. Don't want my grandma to hear me. Fucking microphone. Where can I find that that video? There's one video I did, and like I said, I remember Flipped. He left a comment that I described as both creative, yet still weird. Like I remember, I think he said like, I don't know, a certain percentage of one thing and a percentage of another. Like I think like 50% skill or. Damn. I remember I told him that was the weirdest and creative compliment he ever gave me. Actually, for all the characters I have at level 20, I'm going to see about sacrificing some of these gears for their legendary multiverse. Because I think, yeah, I've done all that for Atrocitus, done all that for Bane, done all that for Batman, Blue Beetle, Cheetah. I need about almost 200 more match victories with Cheetah. Fuck. Oh shit, I only need... Oh sweet, I only need 10 more meter burn blood lunges with her. Then after that, I can start focusing on meter burn primal rage. Remember, yeah, that's down back 2. And with meter burn primal rage, I need about 40 of those. So about 43 meter burn primal rage, about 19 super move finishes with Cheetah, and 10 more blood lunge as the final hit. Then after that, I need to get about 45? No, 30. About 30 AI battles won with Cheetah. Complete Master Battle Simulator event with Cheetah on very hard. Oh yeah, I still need to do that too. So I needed the 101 villains, 30 upward Amalthea. Is that how you pronounce it? Amalthea? Amalthea? Whatever. Amalthea Bash as the final hit. See, this is what I think is bullshit. I only need 50 meter burn upward Amalthea Bash for Wonder Woman. But yet other characters, I need to complete 100 or even 200 meter burn special finishes or whatever. 150 arena transitions with Wonder Woman, and they don't even need to finish the opponent. I just need to get the arena transition. I don't know why it is they make it so easy for Wonder Woman as far as like the task you have to do to get to her legendary events, but they make it so difficult for other characters. That ain't the most blatant form of bias I've ever seen. I don't know what is. Yeah. As far as some of the comments that Flip leaves on in the comment section, some of my videos, I'll check that out later. Like I said, some of them are pretty creative and pretty funny. Well, at least it's nothing disturbing. Like, disturbing as in, I remember when I first started doing YouTube, and when I first started uploading, I still remember one time, wait a minute, 492, 491. Adam can create an environmental interaction on the fight line that you can use during a fight. And one's loadout's nerd. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think I'll keep it for now. I'll probably be able to find something to use it for. Ooh, I like this. Thought I had more loadouts made for her. Wait, you mean to tell me this whole time I have yet to get any new gear for Swamp Thing? Freaking bullshit. That's like the one thing that still just irritates me so much about Injustice 2, even today. It really feels like the amount of gear you get is really biased. Like, the game will quickly give you gear for characters that you hardly ever play. Like, I keep getting so much gear for characters like Joker. And even... who the hell is the other one? Oh yeah, Enchantress. And I don't think I've even played Enchantress yet. Like, I've bought her along with all the other DLC, but I haven't played her yet. But they keep giving me so much gear for her, but I barely get any gear for Swamp Thing. As a matter of fact, there's still one piece for one of Swamp Thing's gear sets I'm still missing. Yeah, branches of White Lantern energy for the Avatar set. Seriously, I've had to play Swamp Thing more times than any other character, on and offline. I don't think he was the first character whose legendary gear I got. No, that had to be Black Adam. So I should definitely have gotten all the gear I need for Swamp Thing. At least all the epic and, well, not all the rare gear, but all the epic gear definitely. If anything, it's amazing how I managed to get all this gear for all these characters, and yet it has yet to reach full inventory. I have 2 spots left for Supergirl's gear. Kind of weird. Which makes me wonder, if going through gear and sorting the gear out is this annoying, hey, I finally got the last piece of gear I need for this set.
about damn time. But anyways, if it's this difficult in Injustice 2, well, at least for me, I can only imagine how much of a bitch it must be in MK11. Because I know with MK11, they try to combine the concepts or the, well, not the gameplay, but combine the variations of Mortal Kombat X with the gear system of Injustice 2. And in my opinion, they failed pretty much in both regards. Like so many of the characters from what I've seen, like Kano and what was it? Not Shao Kahn, but Kodo Kahn. Don't know about Shao Kahn, but definitely but Kodo Kahn. I know with Kodo, he's also like Kano, a character where only one of his variations is good, and the other one is pretty much just awful. And if I remember, I think like the total gear for each character is much less compared to Injustice. Kind of like how each character, they only have like 2 variations each compared to the 3 variations each character had in MKX. And I don't think characters have as much gear overall compared to the amount of gear you can get for a character, for at least one character in Injustice 2. Not to mention, it seems like, as far as unlocking gear in in MK11, seems like it's even more difficult. Like with Injustice, you can get certain types of gear through random drops, but at least it's not like you have to be a certain level to equip gear. But I think it's because of that, that's why it's so much harder to get the exact gear you want, or get gear in general. But like I said, I feel like in both regards, they failed a lot actually. In both the using the variations from MKX and the loot system, the gear system of Injustice 2. In fact, it feels even more like microtransactions with MK11 than Injustice 2. Because I feel like stuff like microtransactions of any kind, like, yeah, I feel like that's bad in video games. Well, at least in console games. Don't know about PC, because I don't play on PC. And what's the other one? Mobile games. But I'm like introducing stuff like loot systems and microtransactions of any sort to a console game. Like, to me, that's very bad business practice, especially for fighting games. I'm like, keep your microtransactions and all that other bullshit out of fighting games. Because I prefer those kind of fighting games where you can just go in, just play the characters, and just, I don't know, just play. As opposed to, like I said, those sort of microtransactions with the gear and all. Oh, I like this. Let's see, I'll just sell all the common gear for now, and then go back and check to see how many how many legendary
multiverses I still need to sacrifice gear for. Shouldn't be that many. Ripped ion chest. Oh, I think I was still talking about Mortal Kombat 11. It's like I really would like to get that game and play it. It's like the way they've been handling that game, stuff like gears, those towers of time. What I don't get is how it was they improved in the first place the conditions under which you have to work to get fucking, what was it? Some of the gear in that game. Like, what was one? Oh yeah, I remember someone. Who was it? Was it Maximilian? I think it was Maximilian dude who showed in a video just how ridiculous everything was in that game. Like 50 fatalities, 50 or 45 brutalities from one character, in this case specifically Raiden. And that's just to be able to play a certain specific tower. Like, it wasn't just that, it was those two plus other conditions you had to fulfill just for that one tower. Not to mention the difficulty for those towers, what do you call them? Towers of time. Like, even when you finally managed to unlock them, they were just so damn difficult that it feels like any kind of effort you go through to be able to unlock them is just not worth it. It's almost like these multiverse events. Only the gear you're trying to unlock is even less worth it because it doesn't do anything for your character. It's like at this point, any kind of the whole when they was talking about those custom variations you can create for characters, I forget that's why at first they reduced the default variations from 3 to 2. To encourage the whole creating your own gear or your own gear sets or wait, gear sets, what was I saying? Oh yeah, basically your own like custom move list for each character, even though you can only use those in player matches, and even then I hardly ever see anyone do that. Like, most modes force you to only use those default variations or tournament variations. It's like at this point, literally any gear you get is all just cosmetics. Like, just for making your character look nice. Which for me, I'm fine with. I just wish they would have been honest and say that that's just all, like any kind of gear you unlock. It's just that, like, it's purely just for customizing your character's looks. Kind of like what they do in some games from Namco, like Tekken and Soul Calibur. Like, in other words, just customizable costumes. Like, what I would have preferred they did is that they dropped the whole unlocking gear or unlocking special moves for characters, or what was the other one? Let's see, unlocking gear or
custom variations, where it was more like Mortal Kombat 9, where instead of variations, everyone just had just that one default move list. No variations, no customizing move list. Where the only things you can change about the character is just how they look. Like, just give them a different costume to wear, and that'd be it. Like, I would have preferred that that's what they did with MK11. Just return to everyone just having their own, just this one default move list. No unlockable special moves or variations. You already have them from the beginning that you can customize them with. Like, none of that. Also, I still don't get why they left Reptile out of the default roster for 11. Like, I can't think of any plot-based reasons. Electrified Crown Conduct. Yeah, there was just no reason to leave out Reptile. I thought that was bullshit. Like, someone who has been in every Mortal Kombat game in one form or another. Like, he was in Mortal Kombat 1 as a secret hidden boss. And from Mortal Kombat 2 onwards, he's been a selectable playable character. So, why would you leave him out of Mortal Kombat 11 without any reason why? Not to mention the fact that they just killed off some characters like Ermac and... Let's see, they killed off Ermac and... What was the other one? Oh yeah, Kenshi. Like, if I remember, Goro was seen being killed in the MKX prequel comic. Or was it some other kind of comic? I think it was like a MKX or some kind of comic he was shown being killed in. Thus explaining why he's not in MK11. But they just decided to just kill off both Ermac and Kenshi, despite them being such popular and very loved characters. And the fact that they even do so, like, they have the nerve to do so by just having them, like, they have Ermac being shown being killed in the what was it, the Vault? No, the Crypt. Like, that's where Ermac was shown being killed, and he was knocked off the bridge onto a bed of spikes. And Kenshi is just shown, he's just shown being randomly there, just dead. Like, no reason is given or any kind of explanation is given as to how he was killed. He just is. And I'm like, they really expect fans to just accept that their favorite characters are just dead for no reason? Now, I remember eventually they did do a patch where they fixed the whole issue with multiverses so that the requirements for them and the towers themselves weren't as strenuous or as difficult as they originally were, but still pretty damn difficult. But I'm like, but wait, how was it even, who gave the green light for some of that stuff in the first place? Because I feel like that's just one of the many things for the game that should have been checked and redone differently long before the game came out. I'm trying to remember. There's like so many issues that I still have with MK11. Plus, even if I do eventually get the game, I'd rather wait until towards the end of the game's like life cycle, like see towards the end of the life cycle, as in after like all the DLC for the game's been released. Because you know, eventually after they release all DLC, no doubt they're very likely gonna do like some kind of updated edition for the game that comes with all DLC, and I guess they'll probably like release like some new gear pieces that you can automatically get upon buying the updated version. Because I see no reason not to think they won't do that. They've done it with ever since Midway went bankrupt and became NetherRealm Studios. From MK9 onwards, they did that. Where they made Mortal Kombat 9 Complete Edition, Injustice 1 Ultimate Edition, Mortal Kombat XL, and it's an MKXL, Injustice 2 Legendary Edition. It's just a matter of what they're going to call MK11 when it gets its updated version. Yeah, I need to turn this fan off. See, character XP gained by 7.7, 9.8. Black Manta rolls Atlantean Black Pearl towards the opponent that explodes into a rising whirlpool. Black Manta detonates a Neptunian explosive, causing a powerful current of water to rush the fight line. Muna Burning Riptide will cause water to rush the fight line from behind his opponent. Cool. I think with Reptile, I believe eventually they'll probably bring him back as DLC. Because to me, it just feels wrong to just leave him out like that. Because he wasn't killed off in MKX. In fact, really nothing serious happened with Reptile. Like, he was still alive and well at the end, so I was kind of expecting him to come back. Not to mention Takeda and Kung Jin. Like, I know in terms of personality, Kung Jin, I did not like him at all. But he was still pretty fun to play sometimes. Especially with his Bojutsu variation, where instead of zoning, he's more of a rushdown character with his bow staff, which he uses more like an actual... Wait, did I say bow staff? Yeah. He uses it as a bow staff, even though it's meant to be more of a bow and arrow. Wait, 9.74. Oh, that's profile experience. Not to mention, in some of Jackie's like intros or intro interactions, she talks about how she's in a relationship currently with Takeda. Excuse me. But I'm like, if that's the case, I feel like just the fact that she even mentions that's just another reason why Takeda should have been in the game. Like, I can't imagine why they would feel the need to leave them out. Battle for new Krypton tech. Sheesh, am I done yet? Oh, come on. This is taking too damn long. I'm just gonna finish opening the rest of the gearboxes. Still have 40 diamond boxes. Dang! Oh, that's alright. I mean, beyond opening gearboxes and doing the Independence Day event, I wasn't really planning much else. I almost considered playing another game as well as celebrating Independence Day. Like, I was considering playing either Metro or even Resident Evil 4. You know, one of these days, I will get back to streaming Resident Evil games more consistently. If I feel like it, of course. There we go. Oh, what was one of the accomplishments? Play 3 matches as Aquaman. You know, I still keep thinking about MK11 and how, like I said, it seems like a fun game to play. Like, the gameplay is good. Gameplay, the story, the characters are still good. It's just everything else, whether if it's stuff like micromanagement or how they try to handle other things, like trying to add it both Injustice 2's gear system and MKX's variation system. I still say it would have been better if they tried to do it more like MK9. But it's like, forget trying to unlock gear, forget the variation system, like just let everyone have their own moveset, and like just let the gears just be absolutely nothing but cosmetics. So it's like, instead of trying to find different kinds of costumes to put in the game for characters, people can just create their own costumes for characters.
See? Fastest man alive.
I'll match your pace.
Just like Namco's games, Soul Calibur and Tekken, as I've already said. Wait, is it 4, 2, 1 plus 3? Yeah, 4, 2, 1 plus 3. From what I'm seeing, some of the special moves you can add for characters that they don't have in any of their variations, like some of them don't even look like they're even worth it or even mildly useful. Like, more like they're just there just to be there to have. Not to mention, I don't like what they're doing as far as DLC. It's like, it's good they're bringing back some classic characters, or having returning characters like Sindel, Nightwolf, who are going to be next since Shang Tsung has officially come out. And they're adding Spawn, and just like characters like Spawn, I remember thinking, because I remember people wanted Spawn in MKX, they wanted him in Injustice 2.
Shellacked by a turtle.
Yet to plumb the depths.
But of course, then again, the only issue I have with them adding adding guest characters is more of the issue I have with the fans. Because I remember when it came to Injustice 2, no, it goes back to Injustice 1. Because when they first added Scorpion in Injustice 1, a lot of people were complaining, saying that it's Injustice, therefore they should focus on adding only DC characters. But at the same time, people were saying they wanted other special guest characters. Fucking microphone.
So I'm like, let me get this straight. So somehow it's bad that they add special guest characters, even if it's from Mortal Kombat, which for me, I'm fine with. Like, it kind of works out for them since they own MK. Whenever they develop an Injustice game, they can add any characters from MK since they own that property. Like, they have no restrictions on that.
Threaten Atlantis.
I'm restoring my government.
Which makes it so much easier for them. And cause I'm pretty sure, as far as like guest characters from franchises they don't own for NetherRealm, I think that cost them quite a bit of money. Like with Spawn, who was owned by Image Comics and Todd McFarlane. And then I remember with MKX, because let's see, in Injustice 1 and MK9, they didn't have that many special guest characters. MK9 only had Kratos and Freddy Krueger. And Justice 1 only had Scorpion. But actually, Scorpion, yeah, that was only just one special guest character. Then with MKX, they didn't add a lot, did they? Yeah, they had 4 special guest characters. They had the Predator from the Predator franchise, a Xenomorph from the Alien franchise, Leatherface, and Jason Voorhees. So that's 4 special guest characters. And in Injustice 2, I don't know why, but it seems like it's mainly with the Injustice 2 games. Well, not Injustice 2, but Injustice in general. People complain about how they only want DC characters in Injustice since it's a DC fighting game. But then they go and say how they want Spawn. It's like, I don't know, I guess either they forget Spawn's not DC, or they know he's not DC. But I guess they just want to be hypocritical about it, saying, oh, if I want to play Mortal Kombat, or if I want to play Mortal Kombat characters, I would rather just go play Mortal Kombat then. Or they keep saying to leave Mortal Kombat out of Injustice. I don't know, some people are just stupid about it. So it said, if I remember, in addition to Spawn, there's going to be 2 more guest characters for the first fighter pack, or combat pack. And I'm like, guest characters are fun and all, and they add quite a bit to a game's appeal, but you don't need to have so many. Like, sometimes all you need is just one. And as far as like special guest characters, as to like who they get as far as second or third party characters, I'd rather, like, as long as that character fits with the setting they're being put in. Like there's been rumors and speculation about Ash Williams being in MK11, and I'm like, I can understand. I guess I can understand a character like Spawn. But I don't know, if I had Spawn in a fighting game, rather if it's part of the base roster or as DLC, to me it'd make more sense seeing him in something like Injustice. Like, it's easier to imagine someone of Spawn, especially with his level of power. It's easier to imagine him in an environment like with DC rather than Mortal Kombat. Of course, then again, if I remember, Mortal Kombat, seeing how almost everyone knows martial arts and all. If I remember, Spawn himself, he knows martial arts. I just can't remember if he's ever seen using it so often or not, compared to firearms. But still, like Spawn, he's not a bad choice. Now, someone like Ash Williams in a fighting game, I wouldn't say that's not like outright impossible. It's just that, I guess maybe it's just because I'm not a big fan of Ash Williams. Like, I think he's a cool character, and the actor Bruce Campbell,
He's also a pretty good actor, so any character played by him, I don't mind seeing around. But I would rather what NRS would do is just focus, especially with Mortal Kombat, just focus on their DLC being returning characters. Like, don't have it too cluttered with a whole bunch of special guest characters. I need to turn my fan on, it's hot in here. Especially with special guest characters that almost feel very out of place. Like what Tekken did. Adding Noctis and Negan. Like with the way Noctis and Negan play, they almost feel more like characters. Well, I don't know about Negan, but then again, I don't know about Noctis either. But they almost feel like characters you would expect to see in a game like Soul Calibur. Especially Noctis. Negan, if he had to be a special guest character, well, obviously it'd be more like in a horror game. Like if it's just a horror game in general or a zombie game. Something along the lines of Tekken. Yeah, I was a little bit irritated when I saw him announced for Tekken 7 as part of the season 2 pack. Excuse me. Now, as far as DLC and fighting games, now let me talk about Tekken 7. Because, well, honestly, aside from the special guest characters, I think they did a pretty decent job as far as, well, I don't know, Season 1, if I remember. Yeah, Season 1, their DLC was just special guest characters. Which is weird how they even have a Season 2, because I'm like, Season 2? When the hell was ever Season 1? It never really felt like there was a Season 1 to begin with. Because the only quote-unquote Season 1 DLC that they had was Geese and Noctis. Don't remember there being any other DLC besides those two. And Geese, yeah, he being a fighting game character, not to mention a 2D fighting game character. Well, there's been like a few 3D style fighters out there that Geese was in. Like King of Fighters, Maximum Impact 2, aka King of Fighters 2006. And Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. But those games are kind of like Mortal Kombat 4, where even though they allow 3D movement, it still plays more like a traditional 2D fighter. As opposed to being a true 3D fighter like Tekken or Dead or Alive, or even Virtual Fighter. Like, it was definitely nothing like that. Like, movement-wise, I should say. But still, a fighting game character being a special guest at another fighting game, like, I had no problem with that. But then they introduced Noctis, and I guess it's really more of me just being biased, because I just don't like Final Fantasy, like, as a whole. The only Final Fantasy game I've ever played and actually liked was Dirge of Cerberus. That game was an action shooter, not a turn-based strategy game. So when they announced Noctis and then didn't add anything to the game for a while as far as DLC characters, that kind of irritated me. Like, I would say it irritated me, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it pissed me off or anything. Like, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But then they go and announce this whole season 2 nonsense. And I'm all like, wait a minute, so we're getting all these characters for season 2, and we only got like 2 characters for apparently what was supposed to be season 1. Which again was just weird how they did that. I need to get more gear for Sub-Zero. What amazes me is how, out of all of the games that despite being released, whether it was last year in 2018 or back in 2017, or wait, when did Street Fighter 5 come out? Was it 2016? I believe, yeah, it was back in 2016 Street Fighter 5 was released. But let's see, that game, for whatever reason, Street Fighter 5 has done just well without any special guest characters. Like, sure, yeah, when it first came out, it was definitely a mess. Like, to a lot of people, it felt very unfinished. Because at that time, now, I don't know about the roster. I can't say right if the roster felt unfinished or not. But some people say it felt like it. But for the most part, the main issues was the lack of a story mode. Like, they promised a cinematic story mode of sorts. Even though by the time we finally got it, that was absolute trash. For a majority of it. And what else about the game was bad at release? Now that I think about it, I can't remember what other major issues there was that the game suffered from when it first came out. Because I remember some people were saying how when the game came out, Meter Burn, Tendril Thrash, Stefano hit, boss events, radio transitions, heroes defeated, super moves. I'll worry about Brainiacs later. Damn, I just forgot. What game was I just talking about? All these ideas and everything running through my head. Keep these tracks so easily. Oh yeah, let's talk about Street Fighter 5 and how well the game is doing now, despite the lack of any special guest characters, unlike other games I've been playing or I've seen. Yeah, at this point I feel like with Street Fighter 5, like, yeah, it probably would be cool maybe seeing at least one special guest character, at least one that I can say that I like. But for the most part, like, the game doesn't really need it. Well, it's like any game or any series of any sort, fighting games or not, I don't think there are any, I would say, need special guest characters. Because, like, special characters are cool and all, but adding them to a game can only do so much for that particular game. Like, they shouldn't rely on second or third party characters to make a game good.
And to me, Street Fighter 5, despite all the crap even today that it gets, it's still a good example of that. Like, I bet you even the people who go online and complain about how much they think the game sucks or how much they hate the game, I bet you plenty of them still play the game, if not every once in a while. And they probably just complain just because it's the popular thing to do right now. Like, even now. And I feel like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like if that game was handled much better, then it would have been a very thriving game without as much people being hostile about it. Whether if it's towards Capcom or Marvel or people who still play the game. Not to mention we probably would have gotten much more DLC characters. And if it just stuck to just Marvel and Capcom characters, well, you know, it being Marvel vs. Capcom, you know, then it would have done just fine. Would not need any. Oh shit, I still need to complete a few more guild events with Superman. So I still got a ways to go. About like 61 more guild events. Need to burn air flying smash at the final hit. So a little over 40 more. Damn. Ah shit, I still got plenty of sidekick events to go. Like a little less than 20, so not too bad. And a little less than 40 match victories for Superman. And a little less than 20 multiverse events. 50,000 guild credits spent per attempt. Complete Master Battle Simulator event with Superman on very hard. Okay, so I am definitely getting there with Superman and Cheetah. I hate that you have to do these stupid AI battles. It's like relying on the CPU to win for you as opposed to winning the match yourself. I think that's stupid. Hey, it's not just Cheetah, but Flash I need to do that for as well. So I'm thinking, what other issues does Street Fighter V start with upon release? Other than the whole nonsense about it not having story mode at first. Like, it just had individual character stories. Wait, did it even have that? Oh yeah, it did. So I had the individual character stories, but I'm trying to think with Street Fighter V, what other complaints were very prominent when the game first came out? Oh yeah, some people felt like there were less characters in the base roster than there should have been upon the game's release. Like, some people feel like the characters who came out in Season 1, some of them should have been part of the base roster. And so let's see, the lack of the cinematic story mode, which didn't come until, I think, what was it? I think 2 or 3 months later. That, the Season 1 DLC characters, and I don't know, it's been such a long time, so I can't remember exactly what else there was people complained about.
Hey, speaking of returning characters as DLC, I would have liked if Injustice 2, like all the characters who were in the first game but are not in Injustice 2, I think some of them should have returned. Like, I don't... Let's see, who in Injustice 1 died and then couldn't be in Injustice 2? Because I know Shazam died, which I still think is absolute bullshit in every sense of the word. Like, there was no reason at all as to why Shazam should have been killed. But, oh well, there's nothing I can do about it any more than complain. Let's see. Oh yeah, all the DLC characters. Hell, even Scorpion. I don't see why none of them got to return. And others like Solomon Grundy. Like, why couldn't Solomon Grundy have been in Injustice 2? Oh, and Killer Frost. I'm guessing maybe, just maybe, I don't know, maybe they want to find a way to try to balance the game between new and returning characters, as opposed to being mostly returning characters with few new characters. I don't know, I'm just making random guesses. So let me try to get 2 more AI battle victories with Cheetah. Then I'll be at 70. And once I get to 70, then I'll only need 30 more. I think maybe what would make it easier. Well, the last time in which my characters were defending from anyone challenging was 5 weeks ago. Being on the defending side, it's rare for that to happen. Like, most of these AI matches have been me being on the attack. I don't know, I guess people don't find my characters worth challenging or something. Of course, if I remember these AI battles, it doesn't really like... Is there a ranking for these? Dang, so the Flash is almost just all combos and counters. Same thing Red Hood and Batman. I don't know, combos are good, but relying entirely on just combos and counters, that almost seems like a bad strategy.
just for bullets.
Go to sleep, scumbag.
I don't know why, but it's kind of funny sometimes just watching these AI battles and, at super speeds. It's almost kind of entertaining. Okay, so that was one. And one more. And I remember what I was gonna say about these AI battles. I think like if I try to do these more often, try to get like I think 10 each day. Like just 10 one day, then 10 the next day. I should be done with the AI battles pretty quickly. Just gotta remember to take initiative and just do them. No, I think I might as well just end this stream soon because well, there's not really much left to do now. I've already did the Independence Day event. There's a few others. And most stuff I'm talking about is mostly just trivial stuff you could talk about in almost any kind of stream. The only thing I keep thinking of now as far as like fighting games, mostly. Although Samurai Showdown, that came out, I think, last week or the week before. And I've seen plenty of people playing it. Don't know if it's gonna... Oh, excuse me. Don't know if the game's gonna see a lot of action. I don't know if Samurai Show is gonna be seeing a lot of action, like at EVO or in tournaments in general. But for the most part, as far as like casual and online, offline play, I think Samurai Showdown is gonna be seeing quite a bit for a while. Good for them. But let's see. I'm trying to remember with their DLC, because they revealed all the characters who are going to be coming out later on. I think over the course of the year, or for the rest of the year, they're going to start releasing their characters one by one. And if I remember, I think their first DLC character that's going to be coming out soon was announced before the game, before Samurai Showdown came out. And to me, I don't like when fighting games or games in general do that. Like, to me, I think a better strategy or better thing for fighting game companies to do, or any gaming companies, is finish the game, complete it as much with the game as you can. Then, once the game has been completed, or I don't know however much you get done, once the game is released, then announce DLC. Like, I'd say maybe wait a few weeks or even a month before announcing DLC. Because one thing I noticed is that if they announce any DLC, whether it's characters or an expansion pack, before the game is out, even if it's like you announce DLC a week before the game is out, people will complain and say how they're either trying to cut corners, or they're like, oh, well, they could have just added that into the game. They're just being lazy. And sometimes it does feel like that. Kind of like when they announced Tira as DLC for Soul Calibur. That kind of irritated me a little bit, because I'm like, the game wasn't even out yet for another, I think, 2 to 3 months. So what I'm thinking is, then that's plenty of time to finish the character, because some people will try to use that as a defense, saying that the character is simply just not finished. And I'm like, well, they got plenty of time to work on her before the game comes out. Of course, I think with Tira, I don't think they would have much to work with anyway, because most of the characters' moves are taken from earlier games. Maybe some new animations and combos and special moves added here and there, so it doesn't feel like a complete copy from any past iterations. But still, that's just my point. Especially, oh man, I think like the company that did it the worst was Arc Systems, when they announced Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. And not only were they doing trailers for characters who were in the default roster, but then all the other characters who were DLC, they kept announcing as DLC in these trailers. And I remember it wasn't just me, but plenty of other people who were very irritated by that. Especially how they said how a lot of those characters from other games are mostly reused animations and other assets. So they feel like there was not really that much of a reason for them to announce all these characters or hold them back as DLC. Especially when it was going to be another few months before the game even came out anyway. So I think it was ever since then, anytime a fighting game or any kind of game was announced and at some point they announced their DLC before the game comes out, it would just irritate me so much. Especially what they did with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. When they announced Sigma and I think Sigma along with Black Panther and Monster Hunter, all three were announced as DLC. And that was long before the game even came out. They had at least, I think, was it 2 to 3 months? I believe it was somewhere around there. They had all that time to release the game. Now, some people thought that made even less sense, not just because they announced the DLC so early, the fact that the main villain is supposed to be Ultron Sigma, who is literally Ultron and Sigma fused together.
Need more proof you stink?
And I agreed with those people who said that made no sense, because I'm like, Sigma is supposed to be the other half of this villain, of Ultron Sigma. Because the other half, Ultron, is in the game as part of the default roster. So why does Sigma, who's supposed to be an important character in the story, why is he DLC? And also people didn't like how characters like Black Panther and Monster Hunter would appear in the roster, or not in the roster, but in the story mode, despite not being playable. Or not being playable yet. Wow, that would miss. Okay, the weird thing is, I just now realizing that I'm fighting Donatello. Because for some reason, the whole time I was fighting him, I kept thinking it was Michelangelo. Man, I must have been really that distracted while I was rambling. So anyways, back to my earlier point. So as far as releasing any characters as DLC, rather if it's, I don't know, characters who are returning characters from a previous game, or rather if it's new characters altogether being released as DLC, I don't really have too much problem with that, for the most part. I just don't like how these companies would announce those characters before the game comes out. And like I said, it's not just me, but it's other people. And there are some people who go as far as to refuse to buy a game because they feel like that company's just being cheap or holding out on the players. Because they feel like if they got this character that they planned for the game, and the game's not even out yet, why not just finish up on that character and release them as part of the base roster? And it's like it's simple stuff like that can determine how many people are willing to buy a game or not. Like that's such a simple thing too. So that would be my approach to doing it. Wait until after the game comes out. Wait maybe a few weeks or a month, then announce the DLC. And if you're gonna have characters for DLC, don't announce that. Don't make literally only half of the roster be default and half or more than half be half of the roster be default and then more than half be DLC upon the game coming out or before the game even comes out, like what Arc Systems did with Blaze Blue battle.
As far as any other issues I have with Blaze Blue, that's just more of a minor issue that I don't like is how I would have liked if they had Guilty Gear in the game. Like I get it's just one series from each company, because Under Night in Birth, Ruby, and Persona, along with Blaze Blue, are all each owned by one individual company. Like, no two games come from the same company. But still, I would have liked if they had Guilty Gear in the game. And I remember one of my friends, he made this dumbass excuse how some of the characters in Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear are almost literally one and the same. Since so many characters in Blaze Blue are almost like counterparts to the Guilty Gear characters, either based off of them or just similar. I'm like, that's no excuse. They're still completely different people. Like, you can't use that as an excuse as to why these characters should be left out. Like, Guilty Gear is still its own series, its own thing, separate from Blaze Blue. They're not like exact copies of each other.
Stop where you are!
You don't command.
Also, I think it's stupid how, even though they finally started releasing some characters for cross tag, the only new character, or the only character that's from a completely different company, besides adding DLC to any of the... Wait, how should I explain this? Some of the new DLC is for some of the factions that have already been in the game since it first came out. Like, they've added some new characters from Persona and Under Night. Can't remember if they have added any from Blaze Blue yet. I think they have. And so far, now they've added Arcana Heart into the mix by adding Heart. Can't remember how to pronounce her last name. Heart Iono? Something like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, so you only added one character from Arcana Heart. And believe it or not, I'm a fan of the Arcana Heart games. Because I remember I played the first one, I really enjoyed it. So when it was announced that Arcana Heart was going to be joining the roster for Blaze Blue, I was kind of excited. Only to realize they're only adding Heart. I'm like, you had all this time to work on whatever new company you wanted to add to the game, and you only add one fucking character. Hell, I would have liked to see them add more characters from the Ruby series. The fact that only 4 characters from Ruby are in the game, and you got at least, what was it, like, it's gotta be more than 7 for each of the other games, especially for Blaze Blue. I think it's like more than 7 as far as counting default and DLC characters. What I'm wondering is why they only added well, sure, like, they are the main cast of Ruby. Literally their first name initials are in the title of this show. But to me, that doesn't matter. And also, I remember one of my friends, they said that the reason why is because that's the first time characters from Ruby have ever been in a video game, or at least a fighting game. And I'm like, to me, that's still not a good excuse. I still feel like they could, at this point, still add more characters from Ruby into Blaze Blue. I would have liked to see some of the villain characters, like, let's see, Cinderfall, Emerald, and especially Mercury. I would have liked to see Mercury in the in Blaze Blue. Because if I remember, out of all the members from Cinderfall's team, I don't think Mercury's the only one, but one of the few I know who uses martial arts.
Especially his style is, I think his style is either meant to be Taekwondo or at least similar to Taekwondo. So I would have liked to see him in the game. So let's see, Mercury, Cinderfall, Emerald. Who are the other two recurring villains? I can't remember their exact names. Oh yeah, Neo or Neapolitan. Damn, that's such a long name for someone to have. And hell, with Neo, she doesn't ever talk, so they wouldn't need to worry about adding or finding a good voice actor for her. I don't know, maybe someone to do whatever random vocal sounds for her. Like, I don't know, like whenever she gets hit or does an attack. I think like small stuff like that. But anyways, as far as like finding someone to do lines or any sort of dialogue, like I said, she never talks, so they wouldn't have anything to worry about. So now officially Arcana Heart's part of the roster. So now it's Blaze Blue, Arcana Heart, Ruby, Under Night, and Persona. And I wonder if, I really hope Arcana Heart, I really hope Heart Iono is not the only character they have in that game. If anything, it's stupid how she was the only one brought in. Plenty of more other characters could have added, but yeah, well, what's done is done. Actually, in addition to Arcana, another character, not Arcana, I keep calling her that. In addition to Heart, let's see. Actually, besides Heart, the only other character whose name I can remember is Kira. And if I remember, and she's that short girl who uses water magic, and it's also I think she's the only grappler in Arcana Heart. I never got to play Arcana Heart 2 or 3, so I don't know if there was other grapplers added.
At least make it interesting.
Just warming up.
I wonder what other fighting games that are basically considered anime fighters they could have added. I don't know, that's kind of a weird subgenre of fighting games, calling them anime fighters, despite the fact, actually the only game I know of that wasn't anime before fighting games were made for it, like any fighting game adaptations, is Dragon Ball FighterZ. Since Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, I remember it had its long-running anime. Well, actually, it still does. No, Dragon Ball Super ended. But anyways, the point is, that's like the only fighting game that I know of that I can consider, or that I would call an anime fighter. Of course, with each of them, there was a manga first for each iteration of Dragon Ball. From Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, and actually no, I think with Dragon Ball Super, I think it was the anime first, followed by a manga adaptation. Because I remember after the Tournament of Power, which was the last story arc for Dragon Ball Super, when the anime version ended, the manga was still ongoing. But anyways, that's beside all that beside the point. The point is that Dragon Ball Fighters is the only game I can say can be called an anime fighter, if even that. Because compared to all the other so-called anime fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters doesn't really play like one. Like, if anything, when a lot of other people besides me, when we think of Dragon Ball Fighters, it feels more like Marvel vs. Capcom done Dragon Ball style.
You have offended nature.
Goodness, this fucking microphone. I still need to get on YouTube later on and check to see if there's anything going on with the chat. Because I can't tell if it's, like I said, people just aren't interested in posting comments or if there's actually something wrong with the chat itself. Weird when that happens. Whenever the chat just stops working for whatever reason or doesn't work at all. And it's like, so far, the only solution I can think of is to either end the stream and then start it over. And I don't know anyone who likes going through that trouble. I remember the first time when I first got Injustice, well, not when I first got Injustice, but when Injustice 2, when the Legendary Edition came out, after the Legendary Edition came out and I got the update, I remember having a hard time being able to stream the game. I remember either the broadcast would just cut off automatically. It was either that or I think the main issue is just the chat not working. And I remember Flip looked it up for me and he found out it wasn't just me, but plenty of other people who were having an issue with it. I just can't remember if he said it was other people complaining about their systems, or if it was in fact somehow Injustice 2 with the Legendary update. I don't know, it was still pretty weird. Shit. Oh, someone stopped the Swamp Thing or Swamp Thing's violence. You know, there's a comic book store that's, yeah, I'd say it's pretty far from here. Even though it's like all I got to do is get onto the main road from where I live, and I can just go from there. I just got to get a car. So it's definitely within walking distance, kind of. But I wonder if it sells any old school comic books. I know it has a lot of the, a lot of current ones, and I think I've saw a few comic books that span as far back as, like, I think 2010, like mostly from the 2000s going forward, but mostly it's mostly that current up-to-date comics, especially from DC and Marvel. But I also wonder if they have any old school ones, like from the 90s going back. At least as far back as, I think, at the beginning or at least the middle of the Bronze Age. So pretty much sometime after the Crisis on Infinite Earths event. Or, yeah, post-Crisis. I gotta find out if that store has any pre-Crisis comics. And if they do, I gotta find out if they have any pre-Crisis comics for Swamp Thing. Because if I remember,
Swamp Thing's comic books, like before, during, and after Alan Moore. Well, I'd say before and during Alan Moore's run on the comics, I believe were all pre-Crisis. I'm just not, yeah, I know like the pre-Alan Moore Swamp Thing comics were definitely pre-Crisis. I just can't remember if Alan Moore's run on the Swamp Thing comics, if that was pre or post-Crisis. I'll just look it up here later if it was. Speaking of Swamp Thing, now that I think about it, ever since the New 52 comics and DC Rebirth,
last chance to fall in line.
This mountain is.
Oh, was that dude's eyes red for a moment? That's kind of creepy. But anyways, ever since New 52 onwards, and even from once DC Rebirth started, there's been no mention of Swamp Thing's wife, Abigail Arcane, aka Abigail Holland. As a matter of fact, I think it's like once the modern age of comic books started, or modern, bronze, dark, some people call it so many different names. But anyways, I remember as time went on, any mention of Swamp Thing's wife Abigail became less and less frequent, at least in the comics. In any animated film Swamp Thing has been in ever since the Bronze Age onward, which really isn't a lot actually. There's been like, I think like no mention of Abigail anywhere. And I wouldn't say that that's just DC forgetting that Abigail Arcane exists, because they did bring her back in New 52. It's just like I said, from New 52 onwards, I noticed there's like little to any mention at all of Abigail. And even in this game, Swamp Thing doesn't mention Abigail in any of his intros. If I remember, I think Swamp Thing was in the Injustice 2 prequel comic of Bob Curry. And if I remember there as well, there was no mention of Abigail. And I find that kind of weird, because for the longest time, ever since her introduction, Abigail has been quite an important character in Swamp Thing's mythos. Like, I don't know if I would say she's the most important character, well, besides him, in the Swamp Thing mythos. More like, yeah, like she was very important. Just, who would I say besides Swamp Thing was the most important character in his character development? No, I'd just say it was definitely Abigail. But there's like hardly any references or any mention of her. Well, I hope in the Justice universe she's not dead. I hope not. I'm just wondering if DC's gonna bring her back ever since DC Rebirth started.
You reap what you have sown.
Dang!
Can't pop off this shell.
Challenge accepted.
Now, I'm pretty sure with Swamp Thing's strength, at least with that base form he has, without like using any more of the green, he could probably just rip the turtle shell right off. Like, I can't imagine him doing that unless he had like a very good reason to. But yeah, that's just how strong Swamp Thing is. Like at whatever, like I think whatever is considered base level strength for Swamp Thing, whenever he creates a body for himself, like any sort of quote unquote base level strength for Swamp Thing is definitely superhuman. But I don't know, because compared to others like Black Adam, Shazam, or Superman, Swamp Thing's strength, yeah, it's kind of hard to calculate. Because if anything, it's been said before that Swamp Thing, he directly gets his powers from the green. So it's like how much strength or power overall he has depends on how much plant life or vegetation is available around him.
You are in danger.
Actually, I just remembered Swamp Thing. It was from DC Rebirth, where there was a brief struggle between him and Superman. Like I guess there was some kind of crisis involving the Green, and Swamp Thing needed Superman's help.
You deceive yourself.
But if I remember, he tried to get Superman's help by force, and instead of really doing anything to really harm Superman, Swamp Thing was using the power of the Green to literally pull Superman underground. And despite being one of, if not, despite being one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful being on Earth, Superman was eventually dragged underground. And like I said, that was Swamp Thing just using it as much, just using the Green in general. He didn't have no help from anyone or anything. And Superman has been said to be stronger and more powerful than a planet, especially the Earth. Oh, come on. Sheesh, what moves do I have added for this loadout? Trunk Punch. Oh, Abigail's guarded me to burn. Alright. So what I'm thinking is, for someone like Swamp Thing, with the power of the Green, of course, to be able to drag even someone like Superman underground, despite how ridiculously strong Superman is, I thought that was kind of impressive, and kind of scary too, the way he did that. I'm like, if he could do that to someone like Superman, then I can't imagine other people being able to stand much of a chance.
You reap what you have sown.
Resistance is pointless.
I shall endure.
You know, Black Adam is another one of those type of characters in the game who, like Cyborg, I'm surprised how much time and effort I've put into playing him. At least just enough to be able to get good. Like at first I didn't think characters like Brainiac was going to be that fun. So I started playing as him, and I realized not only is he surprisingly versatile in his moveset, special moves, combos, and everything, but in addition to all that versatility, it's kind of that versatility that makes Brainiac fun. Swamp Thing himself is quite versatile for a grappler. But yeah, at first I remember trying to play Swamp Thing. I actually didn't like him at first. fact, when I first started playing the game, I didn't even know Swamp Thing was a grappler. I'm trying to remember, how did I find out Swamp Thing was a grappler? I think I just found out on my own, like just from playing the game. The hell's that noise? Oh, that's probably just a motorcycle off the highway. Like for a moment, I literally thought that was like a plane going down. I don't know, I've had some weird dreams. I wouldn't say they were like nightmares, but just dreams where it's like I'm at home and out of nowhere there's like a freaking plane. I see a plane either off in the distance going down, like crashing down, or it's crashing down towards the house. Like I've had some weird dreams like that. Of course, I still remember most of the dreams I've had, like those kind of dreams that are just so bad that I force myself to wake up. It's usually like any dreams I have that involve being attacked by spiders. And usually that's like giant spiders, like something straight out of Eight-Legged Freaks. Of course, recently I did have one dream where it was regular sized spiders, but just the fact that there was just so many of them. It's kind of weird. I don't consider myself an arachnophobic. I don't really have a phobia towards spiders. Of course, I do know within almost any kind of tiny bugs, one bite can be lethal, if not just outright painful. But anyways, yeah. Usually if I have nightmares involving spiders, it's either like a huge army of tiny spiders, or it's just giant spiders. I remember one time I had this nightmare where I'm trying to remember, how did this dream start? Can't remember. I just remember somehow at first it involved something like Transformers, I think. I don't know. This dream was a long time ago. It was like something kind of like Transformers. Not really like the live action films, but like the characters were more or less based off of their cartoon counterparts. So I don't know how the hell it went from being something straight out of Transformers into suddenly me and other people either running away from or fighting against giant spiders. I remember towards the end of the dream, there was a giant spider and a giant snake. The giant snake was dead. For some reason, like the giant snake was already dead when we got there, and the spider somehow fused with the corpse of the snake and it became some kind of creepy spider-snake hybrid, like almost something straight out of Resident Evil. I remember thinking to myself, like it started coming towards me really fast, and I just said, "Oh hell no!" And I immediately woke up.
Whence you came. First, we finish this.
Okay, I know I just hit him with that 4-3. You know, I really gotta get PlayStation Plus again so I can start playing online again. Like these long weeks or months away from playing online, sometimes it throws me off a little bit. Actually, I remember there was one time I had a, well, I wouldn't call it like a nightmare, but it was still, it was kind of like a weird, sort of bad dream I had. But I remember the reason why it just got so bad that I forced myself to wake up it wasn't anything to do with giant spiders. No, it was because of freaking Samuel L. Jackson. Like the way the dream started off was, it was kind of like me at it was like a prison, but it was a prison for, actually it felt more like something straight out of X-Men comics. So basically it was a prison meant to hold mutants, and apparently I was a mutant because I was a prisoner there. And so the prison warden we had, or who was assigned to the section I was, the section I was forced into, the guy who was in charge of that area was apparently Samuel L. Jackson, which was weird. Now if I remember, in that particular dream, Samuel L. Jackson was like, as a prison warden, he was so abusive towards me and any of the other prisoners working there.
This mountain is not moving.
Like, he would give us instructions on what to do, and if we disobeyed, he would do a lot more than just yell. Like, he had no problem getting physical. And I remember in my dream, even let's see, I think one of the others who was a prisoner there was the fucking Juggernaut. Okay, now that I tell myself and go through this whole dream that I've had some weird dreams, honestly. Like I said, usually the ones that are so bad that I force myself to wake up is usually any dream involving giant spiders. So this one was very unorthodox. But I'm like, man, I could use this to make a movie. So anyways, he was a bit abusive, very oppressive prison warden. And I'm still questioning why, out of all the people for it to be, it had to be fucking Samuel L. Jackson. Like the one time I have a dream and I force myself to wake up because of how bad it is. It's not because of any giant spiders. No, it's because of Samuel L. Jackson. Of course, he can and has played pretty intimidating characters in other movies before. Actually, ever since that dream with Samuel L. Jackson as a prison warden and me and all those other prisoners at a... What was it again? Oh yeah, at that mutant holding facility. Ever since I had that weird dream, every other dream I had that was so bad that, as I said, I had to force myself to wake up because of how bad it is. It went back to being just because of giant spiders. Or spiders in general. I still remember one dream I've had when I was a little kid, and this was like years before I've ever seen any episode of SpongeBob. As a matter of fact, I think this was before SpongeBob even came out on Nickelodeon. But anyways, I had this dream where I was at home and I was inside this house, and there was like this woman in the kitchen who apparently was supposed to be my mom in this dream. But anyways, so it's like I'm in a room upstairs. I go downstairs and I see who supposedly was supposed to be my mom, or just in this dream it was. And she was cooking something on the stove. And when I get to the bottom of the stairs and I look, I realize it's a starfish. Like a pink starfish. And I don't know why she was cooking a starfish, but she just was. So, from what I remember, she leaves to go do something else, and out of nowhere, that starfish just jumps out of the frying pan and it starts to grow until it reaches like the size of a human adult, and it just runs towards me, and it was about to grab me right before I finally woke up. And this was back when I was in, I believe it was 2nd or 3rd grade. I was in. I think it was back way back then. And the fact that I can still remember that dream it's weird. Of course, I still remember one dream. Well, I can vaguely remember some of the details. It was a dream I've had where I was fighting werewolves in the backyard. Like werewolves or some wolf-like creatures. Where it's outside. I'm in my grandma's backyard. No lights on. Literally the only light I've had was from the moon, and it was a full moon. And for whatever reason, there was these like wolf creatures in the backyard. And I can't remember if they were like werewolves or anthropomorphic wolf-like creatures. I don't know. I don't remember the full details. I just keep saying it was werewolves. And for some reason, they were all in my backyard, or my grandma's backyard. There was like, I think 6 or 5 of them total. And it's like, for some reason, despite them being werewolves, instead of it playing like some kind of nightmare where I'm getting attacked or chased by them, I stood my ground and I was fighting them. Actually, ever since I started doing martial arts, because of how serious I take martial arts and how much I enjoy it, I've had a lot of dreams where hold on. Alright, just had to talk to someone real quick. Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah, how tall were these wolf creatures? Because it wasn't that long ago I had this dream. I think it was back in, 2017, 2018, a couple of years ago. I remember it was like, I just know specifically sometimes it was like, well anyways, the point is, it's like I'm 6'4", these wolves were like a head taller than me, so I think about a little over 7 feet tall. So despite how tall they were and being a bit bulkier than me, I was able to fight these wolves off. Whew. Like with just martial arts skills alone, like with my fighting skills alone, I was doing a pretty good job fighting them off. Like some of them were able to get a few bites in on me, but for some reason, despite like biting me, they weren't able to bite hard enough to draw blood. But somehow, despite this pack of wolf creatures or werewolves, I was able to hold my ground and fight them off like some kind of badass. I just wish I could remember that whole dream in better detail, because man, that dream was awesome. I remember there was another dream I had that was basically a martial arts dream where me and my friends, it was like this dream was almost kind of like something straight out of Game of Death, Bruce Lee's film, where, okay, so the way it went that I remember was me and my friends, we were actually outside a Shaolin temple, or what looked like a Shaolin temple, but to get inside, there was a guard we had to defeat. And so I offered to go first. I can't remember how many of my friends it was. I just know it was a few of us. So I offered to fight the guy first. And he ends up whooping my ass pretty easily. And so I retreat, and I
Oh, there was this guy who I was asking for advice from. Like in real life, this guy used to be an instructor or something like that when I was in Job Corps. But in my dream, so I was going to him and I was asking him, I was like, Mr. King, I can't defeat this guy, he's too good. What do I do to defeat him? And I don't know why, but he was telling me about how I was black, and being a black man, I'm supposed to,
Now you see me.
I don't know, he's all like, you're a black man, you're supposed to go crazy and fight. You're supposed to go crazy on this fool. Don't be holding back or trying to do nothing fancy. Just whoop his ass. And I'm like, what the hell does me being black have to do with anything? And he's all like, shut up and do it. I was like, okay. And I can't remember if I actually did change up the way I was fighting. Oh, now I remember. It started off with me fighting the guy at first using more traditional kung fu styles. And that wasn't working. So after going to my instructor or my teacher, Mr. King, he was telling me all that other stuff, like how I'm supposed to use me being black to my advantage somehow. I just started fighting more like Bruce Lee using Jeet Kune Do. And so that first guard that we had to get past, I was able to whoop his ass. So we got past him, we went inside, and it was kind of like Game of Death where we had to go through different floors, except it was like all the rooms were all on one floor. And so me and my friends, we split up and go to each individual room. And for whatever reason, the room I ended up going in, there was this little kid in that room. And this kid was it was some short Asian kid. Looked like he was like still in elementary school or something. So despite being so small and young, this kid has some pretty mean kicks. And I'm guessing like this kid was supposed to be like some kind of Taekwondo expert, despite his age. So against him, I also struggled a bit before I changed my strategy and started using kicks back. And we were going back and forth till eventually I won. So it was after this that the dream then finally started getting really weird. Where after I defeated my opponent, apparently there was like this secret room that was the reason why we had to defeat all the opponents in the other rooms first. Me and my friends had to do that. And inside the secret room, or behind the secret door, was this set of stairs that led down to this area in the temple that was like some underground fighting arena. It was like, and there was apparently this sort of underground martial arts tournament going on. And what I didn't expect to happen was seeing my own mom in there, and apparently she was fighting some random guy. Of course, she was wearing a gi. It was like some kind of judo gi. And I don't know, for some reason my mom was just doing judo. She doesn't do any martial arts in real life, but in this dream I just imagined her doing judo for some reason. Which kind of makes sense. I would imagine if my mom started practicing any kind of art in real life, it would be judo. So anyways, in my dream, that's what she was doing. She used judo to defeat some random guy she was fighting against. And so after she wins, I go up to her and I'm like, Mom, what the hell are you doing here? And she's all like, oh, I entered the tournament. Didn't you hear about it? And I'm like, no, I didn't even know you were here. Who else is here? And she's all like, oh, the rest of the family's here. And I'm like, wait, where? And she just points to one. I can't remember. I think it was like somewhere right behind me was the rest of my family, and they were all just sitting there in the front row, their arms crossed, and they were all wearing sunglasses and had this sort of stern expression on their faces. But out of nowhere, they just automatically each gave a thumbs up, which I thought was kind of weird because none of my family really does anything like that. That's more what I do. Like just give a thumbs up just by having my arms crossed and having this stern look on my face. So for whatever reason in this dream, that's exactly what my family did as soon as I saw them. Can't remember what else happened after that. But it was like one of my favorite type of dreams to have is these martial arts oriented dreams. Almost like something straight out of a movie. Not to mention they're usually the dreams I'm able to remember the best. or have an easier time remembering. Because the only other types of dreams that I can remember easier are those nightmares I have involving those giant spiders.
Ready to quit yet? Please, don't get up.
Oh, what time is it? 4:08. Holy shit. Yeah, I've been at this for 3 hours and 23 minutes. Okay, yeah, I think at this point, I think I'm convinced the chat's not working. Hopefully the next time, if I do live stream again, the chat will be working properly. I don't know what causes this though. It's like there will be some times where it's not just me, but I've seen it from plenty of other streamers. Actually, I've seen it pretty often in Tyrone Magnus on his channel, where the chat will go on for a while, but then out of nowhere, it will just automatically just stop working for some weird reason. And for me, it's like, usually my issue is that the chat would just not work at all from the very beginning. Shit, I gotta use the bathroom. Damn it.
No way you meant that.
Come on, there's no way he's able to beat my low attacks that consistently. Oh, now he crashes?
Quietly, not this season.
Man, doing the AI and fight against actual players, well, even the AI can still be a bitch to handle. But at least unlike some people you fight against in online matches, at least the AI doesn't troll you. Why is it that whenever the Flash is drawn running, he's always seen like in such weird postures? Heck, sometimes even some actors, when they play the Flash, whether if it's Grant Gustin, Ezra Miller, or whoever the hell that guy that played the Flash back in the 90s live action show, whenever they're running, sometimes they have some weird poses as well. I'm like, is it that hard to get Flash to run like a regular human being? Of course, then again, even though he's far from regular human. Holy shit.
Finally. I'm gonna take a quick restroom break and be right back. Hope we get back before the next match starts. Damn, how long have I been streaming? 3 hours and 30 minutes. Oh, hey, found my nunchucks. You know, it's weird how here in California, there's this law that bans not just the use or the carry or even the selling of nunchucks or illegal selling of nunchucks, but even so much as possessing nunchucks is considered illegal in California. And I'm like, then why do you have stores that sell nunchucks? Like even ones that sell them as toys, if they're made out of plastic or, I don't know, something that's hardly lethal or painful. I'm like, why would you have them be sold in public stores then? At least the ones I have, they're not made out of like wood or metal. I'm pretty sure the chain link that connects them is made of plastic too. But anyways, what I don't get is how it is that carrying nunchucks is illegal. But yeah, you mean to tell me that there are laws that allow people to carry knives or even guns, as long as they're concealed? Like from what I've seen, stuff like switchblades or pocket knives, people can carry even if they don't have a license to specifically do so. Like you don't need a license, it just needs to be of a certain size to be able to carry pocket knives, switchblades, I don't know, whatever the specific name for them are. And you can even carry a concealed weapon like a gun, just as long as you have a license. But for some reason, like there's no official license or anything you can obtain to make carrying nunchucks legal, even if you carry it like in a backpack or carry it where no one can see it. I'm like, what kind of backwards logic is that? Like, you mean to tell me that you will, like, for some reason, the legal system will allow people to carry weapons that I would consider much more dangerous, like knives or blades of any kind, and even guns, just as long as they don't misuse them and as long as they have a license. But nunchucks, those are the one things that cannot be sold, and they can't be sold, purchased, or even possessed by anyone, unless it's like at a martial arts school, and even then it has to stay within those within the grounds of that school. But you mean to tell me there's all these different types of guns that people can carry with a license, of course? I'm like, that is bullshit. Like, I don't know why California would be so harsh regarding laws on what kind of stuff you can carry with you, especially nunchucks, when there's much more dangerous weapons people carry around. I don't know, the legal system is weird like that.
poison ivy, return other eye. Wait, is this a psychic event? You know, I know it's like 4 o'clock in the morning here, but I kind of would have thought there would still be a few more people shooting fireworks by now. I still find it funny how maybe not all the time, but sometimes whenever there's fireworks going off, day or night, those dogs my cousin keeps around the house, how so easily frightened they get by them. Especially one of them. Like, one of them is usually, like, she will usually, like, just stay in her room in her cage, and she would, like, almost spend the whole day just sitting there being all hostile, just growling, and sometimes barking too at anyone who comes nearby. But, well, once she starts hearing all that loud noise, especially from fireworks, she goes from being all tough and bossy. I don't know how a dog can be bossy. But anyway, she stops acting tough and becomes a complete coward. I'm like, oh, now you got no problem going around other people.
A kiss, Adam?
You're unworthy.
It's always funny whenever dogs do that. Especially little dogs. Like, little dogs would be so quick to... they'll be so quick to start barking at anyone or anything that moves. But once that thing starts approaching them, they immediately run off. I think there's nothing left to do now. Let's see, tomorrow... Well, today is officially the 5th now. Anyways, I think later on, maybe later on, I'll probably stream Dauntless. I think that just depends on what time I wake up, because usually when I stream Dauntless, it's usually like sometime after 12. Oh, sweet, I got like, let's see, 10, 13 boxes total. Inventory full. Damn. Nice if the game would start giving me gear for characters that I already have. Or start giving me gear that I already have. I think I said that wrong. Anyways. I think I've seen a couple of leg gear for Black Adam that for some reason I already have one set of specific leg gear for Black Adam, but the game decided to give me 2 more. Because for some reason game just thinks I need to have the same amount, the same type of the exact same gear. I don't know, the gear system in this game is stupid sometimes. Like I said, I just don't know if it's as bad, if not worse. And yeah, I think it's worse. It might be worse in Injustice. Not Injustice, in MK11. Or at least based off what I've seen. Like, literally no one collects gear for the sake of anything like those, like player matches or those towers of time. Like, anywhere where anything other than the tournament variations can be used. It's like, I don't see anyone bother doing that. Like, I've seen almost everyone just collect gear just for either the sake of collecting it or just to use as cosmetics, just because it looks nice.
Hopefully after MK11, I hope NetherRealm just does away with the whole gears system. Because outside of trying to earn, I don't know, earning certain types of gear purely for cosmetics or just for, I don't know, for costumes, like I can handle that. But what this game did, this whole idea where you have to level up characters to be able to use certain types of gear, which in the long run doesn't really matter when you're doing, like if you're someone who plays tournaments or if you just play ranked matches a lot, then obviously unlocking certain types of special moves or just gear in general just means nothing. Almost feels like you're just going through all that trouble just for no reason, and having to level up characters just to be able to use that kind of gear. Like obviously it's based off of RPG games, but this ain't an RPG game. Like I don't know how it is anyone thought that the idea of forcing people to level up characters as they play, despite it being a fighting game, it's like just, I don't know how to describe that. It's just so stupid. I guess part of the reason why is just because it makes it easier to do stuff like this and add a loot system to make microtransactions easier for them. And it's weird how when it came to MK11, once that game came out, amidst all the people complaining and accusing oh shit, I really must be getting tired. I can't get my words right. A lot of people complaining and saying how NetherRealm is just doing microtransactions in MK11, which I believe is true. I feel like that's exactly what they're doing. I remember when they did that one stream to address stuff like the whole microtransactions thing, and they trying to say how that's not what they're about. They don't want to do stuff like that to their fans, to the community, and that's why they did like some patches on the towers they have to make them a bit easier. And they're over there talking about how they are not doing microtransactions. That's not what they're all about. And I'm like, oh, that is such bullcrap. That's exactly what they're doing. Like I remember one of the bundles for the game being how there's certain types of gear that's locked, and the only way to get the gear is by buying the special edition for the game, which if I remember was like fucking $90. Literally $90 for the special edition or the special package that all that gear, all that unique gear that you can't unlock in the game. You had to buy that I can't remember what the specific name for it was, but like I said, all together it costs $90 damn. Of course, it did come with some other stuff. I don't know, like some kind of I think, what was it, a guidebook? Oh, some kind of like special materials. And I think they said it comes in a hard case cover. Now, I really hate this microphone. I need to get a new one. It keeps cutting off on me. Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah, all that stuff, that whatever that special deal or bundle it all came with, I'm all like, that's all stuff I can't even use in the damn game. So why would I pay $90 for all this stuff? Especially when the extra gear is stuff I don't even care for. And I know there's also the extra DLC characters that are coming out later. But it's like, if I remember, if one does the math, each DLC character usually costs around, what, like $6? In the game, it's the game on its own. If you buy just the standard edition, it costs $60, since the game has only been out for about a few months, it's still pretty high, like about $59.99 plus tax. So about like 60 something dollars. And if I remember, the DLC characters with NRS is usually like about $6 each. So actually, yeah, let me do the math on that real quick. Because if I remember, in addition to Shang Tsung, so Shang Tsung, Sindel, Nightwolf, Spawn, plus 2 other DLC characters coming out for the combat pack, or this first one that's coming out. And so that's 6 total. So let's see, $6 for 6 characters. Damn, $36 total. Plus the $60. Damn, $96. Of course, if I remember, usually character packs and fighting games, if I remember, that usually comes up to about $20. Brawlers Kung Fu Top. I'm tempted to keep this just because it has that name. Oh yeah, that's right. Black Canary does dragon style kung fu. If I remember the channel, the YouTube channel that had its own top 10 best fighters list. If I remember, that's what they said, that one of her styles was dragon kung fu. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy. Now, back to my earlier point, that usually, was it character packs for all available DLC for whatever current season? Usually it comes up to about, like, I think the highest I paid for one was about $24. And I just did the math now for how much it might cost for all the DLC characters apparently coming out for MK11, and it came out to $36. And I don't know if once all the DLC characters are out, or if they already have that character pack you can buy right now. I don't know if it comes up to $36, but it makes me think, why would I bother getting the game now then, when I can just worry about getting the DLC, when I could easily just wait until, I don't know, I think they'll have all the DLC for this game. At least the first wave of DLC will be out by December. But anyways, however many character packs they're doing, just wait until they do whatever updated version of the game, where they will release all the gear, all the characters, like, which I know they're going to do eventually. Release all of that. So wait, you mean to tell me this whole time the chat is working and people are just now decided to say something? Well, that sucks. Anyways, okay, is that supposed to say Monsieur or Mansour? I don't know how to pronounce that, but hello. Oh, wait, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, when it comes to NRS, you know, eventually with MK11, they're just gonna make that that updated version with all the stuff available. So I'm just gonna wait until that comes out and then get the game. Well, at least good to know the chat's actually working. Keep hearing noise outside. Yep, it is definitely working. At least the chat is. Finally. Like, finally. I think it was working the whole time. I think it's only just now people are choosing to say anything. Let's see. 7.76. Yeah, how'd I make this loadout for? Wait, VR? What, you mean as in VR chat? Yeah, I still want to get that one of these days. Get like a computer working so I can get on VR chat. I like watching those kind of videos, just watching people go into VR chat, get out all kinds of ridiculous things. Especially with the Uganda Knuckles. I don't know why, but I remember at first I used to think that that meme was annoying, or at least I thought it would be annoying, just from that weird image of Knuckles alone. But it's like, it's not really like Knuckles himself, but more like the quotes associated with Uganda Knuckles. Like seriously, it's the quotes I find funny, but like Knuckles himself and that ridiculous or that weird way that he's been drawn, it's just that's like the only thing about it I don't care for. Even though I still don't get how exactly Knuckles of all characters became associated with the meme. If I remember, I think one of the live streams I did before, I think this was during a live stream. Anyways, at some point before Flipped explained it, but I forgot what it said as to how exactly it became associated with Knuckles of all characters. Ah, shit, my neck. Now I know. Well, the only sort of association Cheetah really has as far as Africa is just due to the fact that, let's see, according to in Minerva's origins, at least the original from the Bronze Age, Minerva, even though she's British, she went on an expedition somewhere in Africa, found Urs Kataga, and one of the last surviving servants of the plant god, and she took both the, let's see, the plant that was supposed to be Urs Kataga, she took both that and that one last servant back with her to Britain. Or I think she was living in Britain at the time, or was it, or did it just say somewhere in Europe? I can't remember the exact details. And I remember it was through some kind of ceremony that she gained powers from Urs Kataga, the plant god. That's like the only kind of association Cheetah, or the Minerva Cheetah, has as far as Africa. So that's why it's kind of weird how, well, to me it's kind of weird how she has so much gear that gives her clothing that's clearly either inspired by or worn by people from Africa. Like, it doesn't really bother me. It's like there's no law or anything that says you have to be of a specific race or anything to be able to wear something.
It's just that I don't know why, but it just looks weird on. To me, it looks weird on someone like Cheetah, the kind of character that she is. Sheesh, how much new stuff did I get? What time is it? 4:38, 9. Damn, at this point I'm just wasting time. I keep telling myself I should just stop playing and go to sleep. Of course, it's like Flip once said, when you're a gamer, who the hell sleeps? Although still, even if that is the case, that's still kind of bad for your health. I'm just kind of surprised with the amount of viewers I've got during this stream. Like, I wasn't expecting a whole lot of people to come in, but I don't know, at least I got some viewers and some, at least I found out the chat's working, so at least I got a few comments. There wasn't no damn trolls either. Shit, all these damn multiverse events I did, that's like a majority of the gear I've gotten is mostly just useless stuff. Fucking bullshit. Having to manage all of this gear, going through the trouble of leveling up characters and trying to get certain gear sets for characters, like, it just does not feel like it's worth it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17 to go. When does the tournament end? This is why I say stuff like microtransactions and other stuff like loot boxes and random drops should just not be in fighting games. Like, that's something that should definitely just stay in RPG games and nowhere else. Like, just keep it that way and everything be just fine. Mostly. But I've rambled on long enough. I really need to get to sleep, and I actually gotta use the bathroom again. Damn. I gotta watch how much soda I be drinking. But thanks to everyone for tuning in. And Monster Zacker or Mansour, however the hell that's supposed to be said, thanks for commenting. And I'll see you all on the next stream. Hopefully. See you all later. Going to sleep. Wait, hold on. Ah, damn it.